Yo, what is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Fun Speculation. Mav here, and appreciate everybody either watching this live or after the fact. As always, I see some people already here hanging out in the chat. Yes, this is a unusual time for me to be live. This is a daytime stream. Impromptu. Don't usually do this, but you know what? I wasn't able to have a show last night, so we had to cancel PM in the PM. And tonight, not able to do Xbox Ultimate podcast, so we're kind of taking this Thursday and Friday off from that. But I had time here to do this impromptu stream, and wanted to give thoughts about Starfield. What else is there to talk about? I mean, this is gonna be in a way kind of my review, if you want to call it that. Caveat, I'm like 30 something hours in. Like other Bethesda games, except for Oblivion, I kind of go off the beaten path and just do whatever. And I've been doing a lot of that in Starfield, and been having a lot of fun. So you can take this for what it's worth. I haven't played through the entire main story yet. Haven't tried the New Game Plus and all that kind of stuff. So the review can be just my impressions and thoughts of what I've played so far. You can take it for however you want to, right? The reviews are worthless anyway these days, in my opinion. But there's been so much talk about different aspects of the game. So I wanted to say, hey, let's just talk about it in depth and tell everybody what I like about Starfield. Maybe some of the things that could have some sort of improvements on. But I'll just go ahead and start by telling you guys that I think this might be my favorite game of all time. I haven't even finished it yet. And I'm really actually thinking that. Now, if I look back at it 2 years from now, could have a different feeling, right? Who knows? Because reflection, and after things marinate for a long time, sometimes that can change perspective on things. Or maybe something else comes out in the future, or I start to get annoyed at certain aspects, or whatever. I don't know. But previously, like, some of my favorite games of all time have been Red Dead Redemption 2. It Takes Two is actually really, really good. Well, I wouldn't call it one of my favorites of all time, but I felt like that was a special game. Halo 2 has been my answer to the question all the time. When people say, what's your favorite game of all time? I've usually said Halo 2. There's lots of games that I would put up there with some of my favorites of all time. Neverwinter Nights back in the day, which is a CRPG from BioWare. Command and Conquer, Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth. 2. So many different franchises, so many different games. Splinter Cell, Chaos Theory. Some of my favorites of all time. Oblivion, Skyrim. And I really honestly think right now, if I was to have to give an answer to my favorite game of all time, I would say Starfield. And Baldur's Gate 3 is up there as well, right now as well. Like, it's amazing. But I can't pull myself away from this freaking game. It is absolutely everything I hoped it would be and more. It's got a lot of Bethesda in it, right? It's in its core, it's just a Bethesda RPG, right? But this is a live stream, so I want to say hi to the chat real quick. What's up, everybody? Wilfred Rosario, Steel, what's up, bro? Why So Serious? Asteroid Pilot, how's it going? Dylan Strong, what's up? Niturnal, how's it going? Why So Serious, how's it going? Let's see, we got the Hooded Canuck hanging out here. Dylan Strong, what's up, bro? Changing your name, it's still Deathlord, I know, yeah, but now using your name now because of Starfield. I like Vasco saying it. Right on. What's up, Mello? And let's see who else we got here. Andrew Colonane, what's up? What's up, RSJ fan? How are you doing? Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in to this impromptu daytime stream. And yeah, I do apologize also that we don't have PM in the PM or Xbox Ultimate this week. We will have our regular shows next week. We'll have 4 shows next week. We should. Hey, baby. It's my beautiful wife, Caitlin, hanging out. We should have all of our regular shows next week. I don't see any reason why that any of those would be canceled or postponed. So, but yeah, let's get back into Starfield. Now, I gotta admit, like, I had high expectations, and I was honest about this before. Like, it was gonna be hard pressed for Starfield to disappoint me. Just being honest, like, there would have to be probably something majorly wrong with the game, or completely not meet expectations in certain areas for this game to disappoint me. I've always, for years, expected Starfield to be a Bethesda RPG in space. And that's actually what we got. I think a lot of people may have expected this to be more of a No Man's Sky or Star Citizen game with RPG elements because of some of the videos that were being thrown around about the game and some of the comments made from some of the marketing and stuff. But for me, Bethesda is one of the GOATs. Like, they are genre defining in a way. Like, Bethesda creates games that other developers look at and strive to be able to meet the standard that they set. And I've always anticipated Starfield being another one of those games. Some people are saying it doesn't live up to their expectations as far as Bethesda RPG. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Most of the conversation I've seen with negatives about Starfield all have to do with space and flying and exploring around, and then also the load screens and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to say also I've been playing on PC mainly. 90% of the time I've played this game has been on my PC, which I did get to be able to have the best experience possible with Starfield. For transparency, on statistics for my PC, I have a AMD 7900 XT graphics card. I have a Intel i7 13700K CPU, and I have 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. So for some people that have been claiming there's performance issues and all these kind of things, I haven't had the same experience. I've had a couple of crashes. Earlier today I had a crash. The other day I had a crash. Other than that, I haven't really had any issues, except for the first day. That was an OBS situation with me trying to do way too many different things on my PC at the same time. I can't blame the game for that at all, because once I stopped doing all my nonsense, it was fine. So that's what I've been playing 90% of the time on Starfield. I've been playing 3440 by 1440p resolution, or ultra wide 21:9 format at max settings with VSync on for the most part. I did turn it off to see what kind of frame rates I'm getting in some of the cities and all that kind of stuff for comparisons. When people say they have performance issues and all that kind of stuff. Without VSync on, which was locking it at 60 for me, it was getting around 75 to 80 frames in New Atlantis consistently. And that's pretty much where I was at, but I turned VSync on just to get it locked 60, because why not? So been 1440 ultra wide at max settings at locked 60 frames, having a glorious time. I did notice there is a jump between the Series X version and the PC version as far as quality goes, as far as a lot of the details, but this is a high-end PC that is a latest graphics card from AMD. So I expect that, and I don't think that should be a surprise to anybody. And I think the Xbox Series X version and Xbox Series S version, from what I've heard, are fine. The Xbox Series X version, actually, I really have had no problems with when I have touched it. My wife is playing entirely on the Xbox Series X, and when I'm in bed sometimes at night, I'll play for a little while in there also, and I'm having a great experience on Xbox as well. So no real negatives there. I just like playing it on the PC to get every ounce of detail I possibly can, right? So overall, performance-wise, not any big issues. Quality-wise, it's been really impressive. It's been the most polished Bethesda game for me at launch. My buddy Jasper has had a different issue. He has an Intel graphics card, and they did not have drivers and stuff ready for the game at launch. So that's an aspect for him that is disappointing. NVIDIA, some people on 3080s are complaining about poor frame rates when they're playing the game in 4K that I've seen online. There is a DLSS mod out there that somebody put out there for NVIDIA that supposedly helps a lot. I don't remember the name of the modder or how to get that or anything, but I have seen that and heard about it, and supposedly it works great. Tom Warren actually made a post about it and showed some comparisons there as well. For the most part, I've seen a lot of disingenuous negatives on Starfield from either other reviewers or from people that are just upset that they can't play the game because they only have a PlayStation, or they're just trolling. This game's getting review bombed, unfortunately, on Meta by user scores, by a bunch of idiots that are PlayStation fanboys and all that kind of stuff, right? So overall, I would say, because I think this matters with games. Now, some review people out there don't really ever talk about this or say anything. Games get passes all the time. But I do think the performance and quality of a game should matter because it's the state that the game launches in. And I think Starfield launched in a really good state overall, unlike a lot of other big-time games this past this generation. And actually, this is probably the best state that Bethesda's ever launched a game in. And I really think the extra year that they took helped them a lot. And also, I think the combat and animations are probably more refined because of that. Different aspects of the game that I'll go into combat first, because I had high expectations, but combat specifically has exceeded them significantly. Based on my experience on what to expect from a Bethesda game and RPGs in general. Usually RPGs and Bethesda games aren't usually known for their combat, and this actually is fun as a shooter. It has lots of different guns. They feel different. They feel impactful. There's the skill tree. The RPG elements have an impact with them as well. And I like the variety, and I love the loot system here for being able to find the different guns and seeing what those guns do. Plus, you can have lots of them equipped on your hotbar or your you know, I don't know what to call it, your inventory like cross thing that you use. I've been playing on controller, even though I've been playing on PC. So, you know, if you hit up and or left or right on the D-pad, you know, you can quickly switch between guns. So you can have lots of different guns really quickly at your disposal. And I love the system of switching between those on the fly for different situations. It works extremely well. So combat has exceeded my expectations. The fluidity of the movement, I think, is a big part of that as well, which has also exceeded my expectations for Bethesda, which I think you can say that also applies to the overall feeling of the combat, because if you actually look at the animations of the main character and the NPCs when they're moving, animations in this game are actually really, really good. The enemies will get knocked down, they'll crawl, they're gonna leap over things, they're gonna jump over things at you, jump through windows, all that kind of stuff. You as a main character, the movement feels really fluid, whether you're in first person or in third person. This is the best looking and feeling game from Bethesda, in my opinion, in third person as well. And usually I play most of these games in first person, but because of how good it is in Starfield and how gorgeous the detail is on the character, especially from the back when you're looking at all the details on the spacesuit, I find myself switching to third person more in this Starfield than any other Bethesda game, period. So those are some of the most surprising aspects for me. The physics as well applies to the combat and the animations. The game has awesome physics, whether it's explosions, whether it's looking through cracks in doorways or railings and stuff like that to find angles on characters. All of those kind of things are great because it gets you more invested in the immersion. It makes the world feel more believable. All the random objects you can pick up and all that kind of stuff is absolutely awesome as well. So that's my thoughts on all that stuff. There are some times where bugs happen with the physics. I've seen like explosions go off and like an enemy explode into the ceiling and their body just like dangle from the ceiling and crap like that, which is like that stuff doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it's usually pretty funny. So that's one aspect there. If you want to call that a negative, I guess you can, but that stuff doesn't bother me. In fact, almost every game has things like that as well. So get into the dialogue. Another thing that I've been extremely impressed with, the companions so far are very diverse in their way that their personalities are. I really like the voice acting. I like the writing. I like the more you develop the relationship with individual companions, they bring up different conversations that unlock different quest lines and stuff for you to do, that you can go and do those if you want to, which is absolutely awesome. And I feel like is also another aspect of this game that is fully fleshed out, that is not getting enough talk. It's not getting enough credit for, because it adds to the realism of the game. Whether they're on your ship, or you have the companion go around with you and you talk to them like in the city or whatever, they chime in sometimes in your conversations when you're talking to NPCs or doing missions. They'll let you know their impressions. You sometimes are finding yourself wanting to make decisions in the dialogue of who you're talking to based on what you think the companion that you're with will like, which is also adds another little element there to the gameplay with the dialogue options and stuff. So I'm loving that aspect as well. NPCs, as far as some of them, I've noticed some of the faces could use some work. This is a game with an ambitious scope with a crap ton of NPCs. There's some random ones that sometimes you see, or you're walking through a city and you just look at one of them and be like, damn, they're ugly, right? But I did notice a difference also between Series X and PC in that regard. Playing in PC, I don't know if it's just because of the detail or whatever. I find it improved there. It's not a big deal. I think they're the best looking NPCs out of any Bethesda game as well. So it doesn't really bother me at all if I find an ugly one here and there, or think, oh, that one looks kind of weird or whatever. It's not a thing, you know. It just adds to the humor in the game sometimes. Let's see. Besides that, main story wise, I haven't completely finished the main story yet, so I can't comment too much on it, but I'll say that what I've played so far, the main story, I'm really liking. I want to know what happens more. I usually don't beat, the reason I'm doing this now, not later, is because I usually don't beat the Bethesda RPGs for like a long time. Sometimes I never do, because I just get caught up and I do different playthroughs and always just do random stuff. Because of the way this game is formatted, though, with some of the stuff that you unlock and do in this game, I am going to finish the main storyline. I just don't know when. It could be another 40 hours before I decide to cap it off. But there's definitely some things that are very interesting in the story. But for me, the Bethesda game is not all about that. It's about always finding something different to do and something different to explore. Different missions pop up from reading notebooks or reading books, or talking to NPCs, or overhearing a conversation, or the companions that you're with and having dialogue with them. There's so many different things that pop up all the time You could just be randomly in space and a ship come up to you and give you a mission, and you could decide to take it or not. And the other benefit of that is a lot of those random events have consequences for you in the grand scope of the game based on the way the faction systems work. So it's like layers upon layers upon layers of gameplay elements where you feel like your decisions in every instance that you're talking to one of these characters has an impact on what you may be doing with the rest of the game, which is special for Bethesda. And I don't know how to say that anymore. That's a thing that also happens in Baldur's Gate 3, which is another masterpiece RPG in my opinion. It's a thing that you would look at in classic RPGs from back in the day that they really nailed, and it's been a long time since we've gotten some of these games. The fact that we got 2 in the same year for me is absolutely crazy. 2 masterpiece RPGs in the same year, mind-blowing. So far right now, Starfield is my game of the year. It's my game of the generation. It is my favorite game of all time if you ask me today. It's hard to find negatives for me. Honestly, it is. Give me 1 second. So if I'm going to be nitpicky just for the sake of criticism, because I'm trying to pick apart the game here or whatever, I did release a YouTube short that was like my in-depth review, and I was being sarcastic. Game's great, 10 out of 10, play it, which is actually how I feel. I feel like they could use some improvement with the inventory systems and being able to move inventory from one place to another a little bit easier. There are some good systems in place, but I'm getting weighed down a lot because I want to pick up everything, and I don't feel like I'm using enough of the resources that I'm picking up. So I'm always looking and thinking about management with that stuff, but I don't want to stop picking shit up. So I've seen some people like have solutions where they just throw shit in their ship or just randomly, or and all that kind of stuff. But the inventory management there is not it's not a big problem. It's just something that I feel like there could be some quality of life improvements for that, and that's really the main thing that comes up with the game for me that I could look at and be like, oh, that needs some work. Other than that, there's another aspect that everybody else keeps bringing up, and that's the space stuff, right? I have to be honest and say the people's feeling that there's not enough space stuff to do, for me, hasn't been the experience at all. I've done plenty of missions in space. I feel like some people want to travel from one planet to the other and actually control the ship there. For me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the kind of game that this is, because that would take a long time and would be boring. And if it's in space, there's not a lot of stuff in space, period. And where there would be stuff in space, usually it would be around the planets in which you fly to, in which you orbit. And if I try and think about the way it would work in a somewhat realistic situation, I would probably think in the future, if this game was to be considered somewhat of a realistic take on space in the future, you would grav drive to an orbit, and then of a planet, and then when you want to go to another one, you would do the same. It would be cool if they added a landing mechanic in there to where you could do it yourself, or and take off the ship yourself. I feel like that would be awesome, but I also feel like after I did it a couple times, I would never want to do it again. I would just feel like fast traveling. So I think that's probably the decision, and why Bethesda made that decision to not have that mechanic, because it would have taken time and resources for something that I feel like most players probably would have done a couple times and then moved on to fast traveling mechanics, which once you get used to the fast traveling mechanics in this game and you've already been to places, you can just go right there. You don't have to do these multiple load screen things and multiple things. You just go to the mission or go to the location and you just hit land and it'll take you there and you're just there. So that aspect I don't actually have any problems with whatsoever, and that's been one of the biggest conversation pieces out there. And I think maybe it's from people that are exploring a lot and going to different places and they not having any of the fast travel options open, so you have to go into the orbit, then you have to go look at the planet, then you have to pick the place to land, then you got to go there and it's explored, which is cool, I guess. If they have a problem with it, it's not necessarily a criticism for me. And what I do like is that when you get into the orbit of some of those planets, sometimes there's random events that happen. Sometimes there's space stations that you find in the orbit, or sometimes there's like somebody that calls you on their ship, or there's like some random thing that happens and it opens up this whole new quest line. And those things are random, and I feel like they happen in space. So I feel like being in space, flying around in my ship, is justified in those situations. Most of the action is on land, as I think it would be for what I kind of anticipated with this game. Being a Bethesda RPG with all the quest lines and all the missions and all that kind of stuff, I feel like when you're exploring planets. You're not exploring vastness of nothingness. You're exploring planets. You're finding planets. You're going to planets. And that's kind of always what I expected from Starfield. I do think they did a good job. When I was talking about combat, I think they did a good job with the space combat as well. I feel like the space combat is challenging and it's fun. I found actually my hardest, the biggest challenges I've had with this game, as far as like difficulty, has been with the space combat, and it's made those times really fun, right? It's not just like an easy little thing you get through for me. Now, I do have a much better ship now, and I haven't had a lot of combat since I've had this ship, so I do like that. The cities as well are way bigger than I thought they would be. There's a lot of different missions. If you talk to different people, you find lots of different stuff to do. And they're multi-leveled. Another thing about this game that exceeded my expectations is the sense of scale. And that goes for the cities, and that also goes for the missions. Like sometimes you'll be in a cave, and you'll look down, and there's like a huge pit, or you'll be on a planet. There's a huge mountain. You can go up it. There's a massive sense of scale in the game that's really impressive. But yeah, I like the cities. Aquila, Neon, and New Atlantis all keep finding them to be much bigger than I anticipated. Talking about scale, the scale of this game and the scope of it is absolutely insane when you take a step back and think about everything there is to do. There's multiple mission boards from all these different factions and quests to do, and sometimes just based on the cities that you're in. Also, you can go and put a mission board at like an outpost that you build, so you can do things there. You can have a bounty clearance thing at an outpost, so you don't have to go into a orbit of a planet with the bounty. You can go to your own outpost and take care of your bounties there, which is a cool mechanic. I still have to figure out more with the base building mechanic because I haven't delved too much into that. I'm still figuring that out. Ship builder is amazing. There's lots of stuff you can do. You can build some pretty freaking awesome ships. I've already seen tons of videos and people building ships that are awesome. I saw Steel post a video of him building an X-Wing. Jasper's done multiple videos of posting different Star Trek and Star Wars ships as well, and it's just really impressive. I've had some fun with the ship editor. I haven't gone too crazy with it, but it's a fun time. The controls in it are a little clunky. It would be nice if there's a little bit more options with moving objects around, But other than that, that's just a small nitpick thing for what turned out to be an awesome feature. Man, it's hard to be really critical of anything in this game for me, because everything that I feel like you could criticize, there's a reason for the mechanic to work the way it does. It adds to the game in some ways, and I feel like resources were used in the right areas from the developer. And we talk about that a lot on this channel, guys, like priorities. Okay, what is the developer's priority? Like, they prioritize this, prioritize that. I feel like Bethesda prioritized the right stuff here, and it's pretty freaking awesome. Now, reading some of the comments here. Wilfred Rosario says, Mav, the outpost building is dope, but level up the skill for it and build on planets that have multiple materials to mine. Yeah, I need to go back. I just left the planet that I want to build an outpost on. There was a lot of neon there, and I want to put some neon extractors there. I got to figure out how that mechanic works exactly with the extractors. So that's one thing I'm a little confused about. I have this crap ton of resources that I'm trying to use. So I want to do the outpost stuff. I want to do more of the upgrades because I feel like that's going to free up some weight. So I'm going to start doing some more building stuff in the game. What's up, Charlie? How's it going? OCD says the game is doing so much. You look past the small nitpicks the same. And I feel like it's most of the conversation, even though people are loving the game, has been about some of the nitpicks, right? It's like, it's hard for me to look at a game this ambitious that met this level of scope and quality and like sit there and be like, this sucks. Yeah, they really screwed us on this one. When it's like, no game has done all these things together before, and especially put it out in a high quality package like this. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, each one of these, you land on a planet, and put this into perspective. Remember the boundary gate? People are, oh, there's a boundary. You can walk in a straight line for 15 minutes or whatever and run into an invisible barrier that's going to ask you to go back to your ship or turn around or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a long time, especially if you consider that's just one direction and you do that around a radius. And I'll put it in perspective, each one of those tiles is about the same map size of a game like Skyrim. So those are connected. And if you go in and load it to the next area or do whatever, to put into perspective, there's about 1,000 planets. Now, not every single one you can land on because there's gas giants, there's ice giants, all that kind of stuff. But you can land on a ton of them, right? I would say a higher percentage of them. And the fact that you can land anywhere you want on these planets, and they have diverse biomes, or there's biomes that are different. There's stuff to scan, there's stuff to do. There's caves to find, there's abandoned outposts to find, there's all these different stuff to find, and sometimes they're very rewarding to find this stuff because they have legendary weapons, they have all these different things. Sometimes they have things that bring up a quest or whatever. They have like magazines you can find that give you skill boosts and stuff like that. To put in perspective, that just one planet has so many of those pieces of land that you can explore, and then you take a step back and realize that there's how many hundreds of these things you can walk on? It's insane. Now, even if you only 10% have life, let's say you only wanted to focus on the planets that have life, which Bethesda said 10% of the planets out there have life. That's 100 of them that have life. So even if you just look at 100 planets and sit there and look at it, and you land in one spot and realize, oh shit, this is just one location and there's like a crap ton more on this same planet that you can explore. That is so much freaking content, combined with all the NPC story, dialogue quests, all of the faction quests. I did do and complete the main arc of the Freestar Rangers quest, which I highly recommend everybody do because you get something really cool for it. All of this content just keeps adding on to itself and adding on to itself and adding on to itself, and it's like, what do I want to do? There's so much to do, and you really get invested with the decisions you're making and get immersed into this world. Like, I am this space explorer, and I am tied up with all of this drama, nonsense, or serious stuff going on, that you have the decision of what do you want to do. And that's the most amazing thing about this game. Now, I feel like that's also one of the reasons that some people have been saying the game has a slow start. Because some people are, I feel like, learning the controls. They're learning what they want to do. They're learning how things work. They may just go walk around and explore for a while, trying to figure things out, and then think about it and be like, oh, what am I doing, right? For me, I didn't have that experience because I just jumped right in and I just kind of went where the game took me right away. I did what they told me to do. And when I did that, I started discovering more mechanics and learning things, and that I started exploring out from there as things happened dynamically and organically to me, which ended up being awesome. And I am in this spot now where I'm trying to make a decision. Do I want to plow through and finish the main story? I don't know if I do, because I'm having so much fun doing all of these other things, and I feel like I could be playing this game for hundreds of hours of having fun, exploring, and finding quests and different things to do. That's going to be fulfilling more than the main story will for me. As amazing as all the reviews have said that the main story quest line gets, which is another thing that's just absolutely amazing to me. So I mean, some people say I am a little bit of an optimist, that I look past flaws too much, that it's hard for me to be critical of things that I like. But when I'm playing this game, I'm not thinking about any negatives. I'm not thinking about, this game doesn't have this game doesn't have that, this game needs this game doesn't have that. I'm completely immersed and amazed about everything it has. And I keep getting impressed and amazed by it. So for me right now, I'm looking at the time that I've had and how impressed I've been with what they've made. Right now, Starfield is my favorite game of all time. And I honestly like wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to love it. I was expecting to love it like Skyrim or Oblivion. Sometimes, honestly, the space stuff, I'm into space stuff, like, but I'm not like, I'm more into the fantasy stuff usually. So space thing was like, okay, cool, but like I haven't loved some of the space games that are out there as much as I have some of the like high fantasy type games. So I wasn't expecting this. You know, I love the Western genre, like Wild West genre, like Red Dead Redemption 2. I love Halo. I mean, that's spacey or whatever, but it's a shooter, and I love like Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and Oblivion, and those kind of games. And so I wasn't expecting this to be like of all time. You know, I was expecting to love it. I was expecting to be like really impressed and stuff. I was expecting that they were probably going to nail the game, but because of how much certain aspects of it, with the quality of the combat, the fluidity of the animation, the fun, how fun the gunplay is, on top of how much stuff there is to do and explore, that's more than any other Bethesda game by far. I'm sitting back, and this is my favorite game of all time right now. And it's a masterpiece, 10 out of 10. So if I had to give it a score, that's what it would be right now. Again, like, I don't even if the main storyline, even if finishing the main story, honestly, even if the main story like sucked to me at the end and I didn't like the ending, because I don't even necessarily care about that, because of everything else there is to do and how much fun I've been having in this game, I would honestly still say that it would still be that for me. There's nothing after what I've experienced and what I know I still have left to do that can make this game and take it away from being a perfect game for me. It's fucking incredible. Absolutely incredible game. add on to this. This is just a couple days after official release. With the mod support that this game is going to get, with the add-on content and quality improvements and stuff that they're going to be doing to this game over the years, this is going to be a game that I know I will be playing 10 years from now. I can't say that about any other game that came out this year. Maybe Baldur's Gate 3. I can't say that about any other game that came out this generation. The only one that comes close is maybe Baldur's Gate 3, because to me that was also a masterpiece in a genre that I deeply love. Like I already told you, I like the high fantasy stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? Love it. But this exceeds that by far, and I don't feel like I'll probably go back as much to Baldur's Gate 3, but 10 years from now, I can guarantee you Starfield will be touched. I will be loading in and playing Starfield 10 years from now. It's incredible. Froggy says, great to hear you having such a wonderful time. Charlie says, 100% agree. Eternal says, I will get a mod for kill cam and stealth kills. My go-to mods for Skyrim, right on. Hooded Canuck says, story doesn't factor into your experience too much. Yeah, same. Tom Fujinami says, yeah, I can't lie, this is my favorite game of all time right now, but it just makes me want Elder Scrolls 6 so badly, because that will be my all-time favorite game. I mean, if they think about this, guys, the jump that they took from Fallout 4 to Starfield, that is a massive leap from one game to the next. Now, it's been a long time. I think Fallout 4 came out like 2016 or something like that, 2015. I don't remember what year. But the leap they took from that to Starfield is massive. Now, I don't expect as much of a leap from Starfield to Elder Scrolls, because I feel like this was a big improvement with their engine technology and all that kind of stuff. However, if they keep on this track of improving, and with the scope of the next Elder Scrolls is probably not going to be as grand as Starfield, where they got to do all these different planets, all this procedural generation stuff, all these other things. With the next Elder Scrolls, it's going to be more handcrafted stuff there, right? So for me, it's like looking at the amount of detail and things they can put into that. Thinking, what are they going to do with the next Elder Scrolls game? I can't freaking wait. You would think there's been a lot of hype and talk about Starfield. Wait till that gets more shown and we've actually get a date for that. It's going to be insane. I want to talk about the people out there that are fake shitting on Starfield, right? Now, there's people that I respect and trust their opinion that also say that it don't like it. It's not for them, but they're having more honest takes, or like, I don't like this aspect, or it's just not for me. I'm not having fun. Whatever. There's some of that out there. But there's also a lot of bullshit. There's a ton of bullshit from people that aren't even playing the game, that can't play the game because guess what? They don't have a PC or an Xbox, or they don't care to play it whatsoever. They just want to shit on it. The fact that a lot of these people are review bombing the game, they're out there giving takes based on picking apart people's reviews from clickbait review articles from big sites like IGN and stuff like that, and using that as fuel to try and shit on this game is a disservice to gamers. It's a disservice to Bethesda. It's a disservice to anyone that actually has a logical thought in their brains, because these people are morons. Now, like I said, there's people that are genuine about some of their feelings. It's fine. But there's a lot of bullshit out there. People that are just trying to take the hype down. And I got to call out games media. As many trolls as there are, I feel like it starts with games media, because they added fuel for those gamers. They add fuel for, or if you want to call them, they add fuel to the trolls. They come out with these clickbait articles. They come out with all these different things that you never ever see for other games, right? a game comparing Starfield to other games, just in an article, just to shit on Starfield. You don't see them doing this for other games, right? And I'm talking about PC Gamer or IGN or whoever does these different things, right? Now, those kind of things add the sentiment because of one clickbait article that these trolls and fanboys will use and run with to try and create this false narrative of some kind of truth that is non-existent. And that is the most annoying thing that I've seen going on. It's been going on since the reviews hit for Starfield, and it's going to continue to happen for as long as this game exists. It'll always have that attached to it now. And that's only reason this is happening is because Xbox and Microsoft own Bethesda Game Studios, and the game is a Xbox ecosystem exclusive. In a way, that's hurt the scores because of the some of these people giving disingenuous reviews, or the trolls using it, the review bombing, all of those aspects. If this was a PlayStation exclusive game, it would be applauded by the masses as an achievement in gaming never before seen in the RPG genre, and would set the standard for RPGs going forward in this genre. Like Baldur's Gate 3 did in their RPG genre, the CRPG, it set the standard and created a new standard going forward for those kind of games that other developers simply don't think they could ever meet. If Starfield was a PlayStation exclusive, that would be the conversation. I have no doubt about that. That is not a biased Xbox fanboy take or whatever. That is just the truth of the matter, because simply no game has ever achieved what Starfield has accomplished with the mix of ambition and scope and quality, with the amount of content and things that you can do feels endless in Starfield, unlike a 15 to 20 hour cultivated experience that you play from start to end and then you're done with it. That is what, unfortunately, this game is getting compared to, which is very, very unfair with some of the takes that you see out there. The standard has been set. The people that praised Bethesda in the past for genre-defining moments that they've created in Skyrim and Fallout are knocking Starfield for the same things. It's like they forgot what an RPG is. Guess what? It's because we haven't got a great one in so damn long. And if you want to think that you forgot, if you want to play like this is some weird experience, you don't know how to play these games, just look back and think about some of the classics that we've played over the history of gaming. The Mass Effects, the Elder Scrolls, the Fallouts, games like that that set the precedent and set the standard in the genre. This takes the formulas that those other games in the genre had presented and expands upon it in ways that we haven't seen before, and with a new standard in gaming. And Bethesda should be applauded for the achievement of this game. It is an achievement. No other developer out there could have made Starfield. They couldn't. No other developer out there could have made Starfield. This is a Bethesda special, and this game has proved what Bethesda Game Studios is, and everybody forgot who they were. Again, 10 out of 10. That's it. If you want to say Fun Speculation has reviews, that's the official review score. 10 out of 10. I saw some dumbass podcast who admitted to only playing the game for a couple hours and they just weren't like, I don't know, I ain't into it. They only played for a couple hours, and they gave it a 6.5, and they never plan on touching it again. And their review score actually counts on Meta. So unjustifiable to even have a score counted when somebody admits to only playing for a few hours in a game of this scope. It's insane. I feel like Starfield's honestly like, and you could say it matters or doesn't matter, whatever. I think the meta score overall for Starfield is one of the biggest travesties to gaming, period, because it is such an insane achievement to me. How does Microsoft counter all this BS? They weather it. They don't counter it. The only thing that Microsoft can do is change the narrative. And the only way to do that is keep releasing amazing games. Forza Motorsport's got to be great. The next game's got to be great. The next game's got to be great. Until enough of those people that have been trying to attack Xbox and trying to attack the games that release as Xbox exclusives come to senses and actually think, well, maybe I would actually like one of those games and try it for themselves and actually play the damn thing. At those points, you're still going to have your fake people out there that are just trying to have fun and console war and all that kind of stuff. But once the narrative changes because of the consistent hits and the consistent great games, eventually they are going to bend the knee and buy an Xbox. And once they do that, they will have to justify their purchase and the money that they spent. So they will then say, oh, I love everything that's on Xbox, because ultimately, if you own something or if you buy something or you're invested in something, you're more likely to try and find the value in it and enjoy the experience because of the investment that you placed. If you have no interest or you just don't care about it or don't even want to give things a chance, you don't give a shit about what your thoughts are. You just say, well, that sucks and I don't have any interest in it, and I'm just going to keep saying it sucks because I'm going to find this one article where this one person said that it sucks, and I'm going to use that as my narrative because I'm just going to read what they said and make it my opinion. When you actually have access to it and you actually play something and you are invested in with your own money and everything, you actually may start to think a little bit more for yourself and how you feel about things. Now, sometimes people can actually defend things too much because they invest in it or they care about it and not criticize things. But for the most part, I feel like people will defend their own purchases more and defend the things that they are invested in more. And I feel like enough great games come out from Xbox. A lot of those guys that are just shitting on it all the time will go out and buy one. They will invest in it, and they will be like, okay, well, I don't like you shitting on the thing that I bought, right? So those are going to start to have a flip-flop moment. It's interesting how it works. It's all mind games with the way that these people think, not being able to think for themselves without having some kind of personal investment. It's just weird. I don't know. What's up? Dragonheart Yobi says, yo, I just ran into a ship floating in space. Come to find out this crew has been in space for 200 years for the preservation of the human race. This is insane. Yes, dude, I did that quest. I finished that quest, actually. It is awesome. I finished that quest yesterday. Have fun with it. There's the path that I took, I really liked what I got for doing it. But there's different options on how this can go. So I don't know what you're going to decide on how to handle that situation. It's going to be different for everybody. Lots of choices there for you. So, but that was an awesome mission that came up, and it was another interactive random moment that I didn't see coming. Was the most amazing thing about Starfield. You can go planning on, oh, I'm going to go here because I need to do this, or I got sent here for another reason. Oh, this other thing just happened. Wow, I didn't even know this place existed. Holy shit. How many other places are there that are this massive, that have this much stuff to do and people to talk to and quests to do that I didn't know exist? I keep finding them. every day. Every day I stumble upon more of these things that I didn't know existed. Places that are awesome to see and awesome to do, handcrafted environments. It's insane. I haven't played a game this diverse with the amount of random content that I keep stumbling upon. Dragonheart Yobi says, what is your wish list for mods for Starfield? Like, bro, man, so many sci-fi IPs they can bring to Starfield with storylines and everything. This is insane. I feel like, and this may be like asking too much. But I really like when people do mods for like licensed kind of IPs. Like, I would love like X-Men characters with the actual dialogue and stuff and names and outfits, shit like that. I would love stuff like that. Like, and you can say not just X-Men, you could say like other characters. You know, you could I would love to see cities built based on themes of some of this stuff. People can make entire planets with the mod system in Starfield. As far as mods for quality or of life improvements, I would like to see unlimited inventory mod. I just want to be able to carry around as much shit as I possibly can without breaking the game. I would like to see some really cool outpost mods and shipbuilding mods to add pieces to the ships to make more diverse ships. Weapon mods. There's so many different things you could do with weapon mods, bro. Like, this game is really just... It's gonna be insane, the kinds of things that people are gonna come up with. I mean, we're only on the cusp. Yeah, you could do planets for different IPs all over the place, bro. It's insane. You just boarded the Mantis? Awesome, babe. David Cohen says, was it King Thrash because he barely Forza Horizon 5 and only put 2 hours in that game? Remember when people were making videos about that? But that was around Thanksgiving season. No, I don't know. No, it wasn't. It was some other podcast. It's actually got scored on Meta. I'll look at it because I can't remember. They are going to have console mod support. Well, the Xbox Meta is down to 85 now. This is one of the like most ridiculous things ever. I know it doesn't matter, but it's infuriating to see some of this stuff. The Jimquisition, that's the guy that owns that site, has often made very polarizing review scores. This is from James Sterling. Jim Sterling. I guess I don't know if it's they now. It's James Stephanie Sterling. I'm not sure. But whatever. I remember Jim Sterling. He always had polarizing scores and stuff on purpose to drive clicks. They gave it a 4 out of 10. Just absolutely disingenuous bullshit. And that gets the one negative there from everybody on Meta. He drops it to a 85. The other one I was talking about was the So Video Games podcast. There's clips of them talking, and basically they just barely played it. Which I don't know. Can you rate something you barely touch? Yeah, they gave it a 65. This Jimquisition one, 6 minutes ago, it just got weighted on Meta. It dropped the score to 85. It's insane, bro. And this is how it starts. What does it say about a studio when the parent company proudly boasts that its latest software has fewer bugs than said studio's usual output? How much more damning can faint praise get when the discussion of a game's quality focuses on how it's less incompetently cobbled together than previous ones? Oh my god. Oh my god. What does it mean when you're so used to shipping broken games you think less broken is an actual brag? Have y'all been seeing the clips of the fun bugs that randomly kind of crop up? What is the point in making this statement at the beginning of a review? It is just a damning negative outset of judging them based on words, not the game. Let's be real, it doesn't mean much at all when your last game's level quality set at the bedrock below the barrel, he says. To call Starfield the least broken Bethesda game is akin to calling any single turf the least embarrassing fascist. Then again, given how ZeniMax and Bethesda seem to treat trans employees, the comparison may be hit. This is a... So automatically he's also... Or they are going after Bethesda for an anti-trans reason. This is a completely biased, politically motivated or socially motivated review with nothing but negativity set out from the onset. And it's ridiculous that scores like this get weighted into the meta of a game. What a piece of shit. If you have your issues with them, that's fine for those reasons. It has nothing to do with the game. Right? That's like people giving... what was the game that came out earlier this year that had ties to Russia with the development? The development team originally started in Russia, then they moved their studio, and people didn't like them because of that, so they trashed all over the game. Atomic Heart. That's it. There's people that shit all over Atomic Heart just for that reason. Brought it up in the reviews. Same with Hogwarts. There's reviews out there for Hogwarts Legacy that were negative from the outset, that didn't even give the game a chance just because of J.K. Rowling. Reviews like this have no place to even exist. If you have an agenda to attack a studio based on social viewpoints or whatever, it should be discredited. Because you're there to judge the game. You're there not to judge a social issue or whatever. If that was the case, ABK games the last decade would have gotten 4s across the board. The fact that Meta, this is another problem with Meta. The fact that they even allow and read these things and allow them to go through is a huge problem with their site. It's just ridiculous. Especially with how it starts out. Well, you just gotta hope that Open Critic doesn't count some of these bullshit reviews. Still sitting at an 88 on Open Critic. Insane. Disservice to gaming. It really is. Some people, here's the thing, and this is what people got to realize, and this is to everybody out there, to anybody watching our content. First, let me get the super chat. Tom for Toonami with the $2 says Xbox should just hold COD from a lot of these sites. And people wonder, why do they not send copies to some people? It's for stuff like this, right? Like Reforged Game is like, why didn't I get a Starfield copy? Because you just do nothing but there and shit on the game all the time. Like, why would they send you a copy? Like, why would you think they would? You haven't even, like, obviously you know nothing about the game. You just sit on it all the time. Like, what would be their motivation to send you a copy when it's obvious you have a preconceived negative opinion of what it's gonna be? It's just what people got to realize, and this goes for everybody watching us, watching me, watching any of the podcasts out there, reading anybody's review, even if you like the reviewer, even if you agree with them, right? Even if you think they did an amazing job on the review. Anybody can review a game. Some may not like the statement. Some may not like the statement. There is nothing special about a reviewer. They play games and have random opinions and sometimes are flawed, just like every single person in existence. There's nothing that makes somebody having a critical thought and writing it down special. You can do it. I can do it. Anybody can do it. You can go start a blog or a review site and you can write reviews right now. At the end of the day, all the review is one person's opinion. The issue is that when you have big media sites like IGNs and stuff, people don't see the score as one person's opinion. They see the score as IGN 7. IGN thinks it's a 7. GameSpot thinks it's a 7. This site thinks it's a 7 or a 6 or a 5 or whatever, without realizing that it's just one person that may have a really bad shit take that is weighted behind the entirety of the company's score for that game. And that person has no more right to an opinion about a game or has any more critical thought than every single one of you in the chat, including me, including anybody else in the Fun Speculation fam, including anybody that writes reviews for any sites, including people in the Xbox community that I respect. And some of them are better at writing than others out there, and that goes for reviewers. Sometimes what makes a reviewer good is their ability to write. It doesn't make their opinion any more valuable than somebody else. It just means they are a good writer. Same thing with people that make videos and content. Some people are better at delivery and speaking and telling you their thoughts than others. Does that mean that their opinion that they are speaking is any more valuable than your own? Than the common sense that's out there that anybody else sees? No. There's nothing special about a reviewer's opinion. Unfortunately, perception matters in games, and these reviewers that have these opinions a lot get weighted, and it hurts or damages games a lot. Now, if you want to have a critical take on things and break things down for quality, I get that. But to go out and attack a game because of your social take on it is a bullshit thing to do. And it's actually shows how scummy of an individual you are. Not the opposite, if that's how you're trying to present yourself. So look at these reviewers and realize they're no different from you and I, except they like to write or they like to talk, and that's what it is. Yeah, it was said to me recently, because I haven't written a review, I don't understand or value, or I can't. Maybe I don't understand reviews, or I'm incapable of understanding a review or something. I don't remember exactly what was said. I posted a video with my take on a review. I did this whole stream to actually give a lot of my thoughts on it. And the part of the point of this was to show that anybody can have critical thoughts and talking points on games, and you can throw a score out there at it, right? There's no difference than why my 10 should not count over somebody else's 4 that just randomly gives the game a 4 because they think that they don't like the people that work at Bethesda because of social issues. Like, there is no reason that anybody here in the chat or anything can't just start up a little website and write a little article, write a paragraph or two, and say, Starfield 10, submit it. It should be accepted as much as any of these other people out there, because their opinion means nothing more than your own. The only thing that Metacritic uses, I feel like, is the amount of readers that they have to, or viewer or whatever, to justify putting them on their site. Just remember, these people aren't there. A lot of them are just looking for clicks or have horrible bad takes, and it's ridiculous. It's a super flawed system. If I say it's a 10, that's my opinion. It's a 10. Anybody can take that for what it's worth. You don't have to trust me or like my opinion on the game at all, because each of you have your own. What I would recommend doing is, if everybody give the game a shot and see if you like it or not. And if you do, then you do. If you don't, you don't. There's nothing technically wise or game breaking wise or anything like that that would prevent anybody from not recommending somebody give this game a chance. The Tom for Toonami says it's a 10 for me, and my opinion is law. Sometimes I feel like people that write reviews, people that make content, people that are on podcasts, people that have audiences, feel like they're special because people watch them or take into account their considerations or their reviews or whatever. I feel like sometimes there's this ego that's out there where their opinion matters more than anybody else's because they have an audience. We have an audience, like on Xbox Ultimate or in some of our podcasts, we have like a couple hundred people that watch now. It's really cool, right? But I'll tell you, everybody on our show opinion doesn't matter any more than anybody in the chat. The only reason that we have the panel that we do is because we're friends and we have great conversation together. And makes it hopefully entertaining for the audience based on our vibe together. It's not because anybody's opinion is special. And any of these reviewers or podcasters or content creators out there that have a lot of views, have a lot of people watching, or have a website that gets a lot of clicks, I don't care who you are, your opinion is no more valuable than anybody else's that's played the game. Or played any game. You just might have more people that can't think for themselves blindly trust your opinion for some reason. And that's the danger in it. That's the danger in wielding your crazy little power of minions or whatever you have that can't think for themselves into becoming trolls or becoming anti this or anti that, or hate mongering this or hate mongering that, or nitpicking this and nitpicking that, because they want to mirror the person that they like. I hope every one of you in the chat thinks for yourself and doesn't just trust me or anybody else on our channel with our opinions. We're here purely to have fun and to talk games and for enjoyment. Some of this shit with Starfield has been driving me up the fucking wall, and it's getting crazy, y'all. It is getting crazy. Nothing more crazy than what I just witnessed with that one score and review from a piece of shit that didn't even judge the game for the right reasons. So anyway, it is what it is. At the end of the day, only idiots will fall for it. So if you're one of them, sorry. If you're one of the idiots that falls for the traps, I advise you not to. I really do. It's craziness out there, guys. One of the greatest games ever created is being used by games media and our websites for pure self-gain at the expense of integrity and joy of gaming. Shameful. Fuck them. It is shameful. The reason I say that is not because I'm upset because you didn't like the game and I did. Because it's disrespecting the hobby that we love, right? Like, if you want to say like you are a positive beacon or you like love gaming and you're like a ambassador for gaming and you want people to enjoy it and you really hope the developers have luck on their investment and time spent for these games, or you this or that, whatever the reason is, if you feel like you actually have a passion for this hobby, coming out this way is a disrespect and disingenuous slap in the face to the gaming community and your own readers and your own people, viewers, whatever, that watch and listen to your content or read your content, to go out there with this biased bullshit of social issues as your score and with what we read here. It's a slap in the face to the integrity of even giving a shit about gaming in the first place. Obviously, you're in it for the wrong reasons. Is what it is. All right. Enough of that. 10 out of 10. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, what is everybody up to tonight? Y'all are going to be playing Starfield? There's been like so much random nonsense with Starfield. This is like in another level though. I feel like than we've seen with any other Xbox game with getting hate, because of the amount of hype and people playing it. Regardless of all this nonsense and BS, we have to take a look at it for what it is. Over 6 million players already. Oh, the game officially launched 2 days ago. After launch, after the first day, it already hit 6 million players, over 1 million concurrent players already in just pre-release. That is absolutely insane. The numbers that Starfield is doing is monumental. It is going to be one of the most played games, especially by Xbox players, for the next decade. It is absolutely astronomical. I can't wait to see how many people keep playing and talking about Starfield, despite the people out there that are trying to bring the hype down. It ain't working. People are seeing through the bullshit and are loving this game and giving it a try for themselves. Over 6 million people already played. That's in the first couple days. That's insane. Anyway, I hope y'all had a good one. I'm going to head out and take it easy, guys. Thanks for indulging me on this impromptu stream. And remember, there's no show tomorrow, tonight. And we'll be back Monday night for Fun Speculation Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Tuesday, we'll have Fun Pop. Thursday, PM in the PM. And Friday, Xbox Ultimate Podcast. I hope you all have a good one. Take it easy. And good night. I'm going to go play some Starfield. Peace.
Oh.